Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to be covering the best top laners for 13.10. So the mid-season has hit and with it a lot of change has come. So Camille is the first top laner I want to talk about and Triforce is going to be your core. You can still go the Divine Syndra, just Triforce with the buffs has made it outperform it and the nerfs towards Divine Syndra also make Triforce more favourable. So, for Camille, you want to run Ignite TP for most of your matchups. You can run Flash TP, you can also run Flash Ignite. For runes, Grasp is going to be your way to go. You can run Conqueror into some matchups, you can also run Fleet, you can run First Strike. For the most part though, you're going to run Grasp. Shield Bash works quite well with your passive. Second Wind, Bone Plating also does function here. Overgrowth or Unflinching. Overgrowth has a lot of value. It helps survive the dives and the all-ins. You can run Magical Footwear and Biscuits. You can also run Cosmic Insight. You can also run Futures Market. Both of these do work. And then you want to run Double Adaptive, Armor, or Magic Resist. You can also run Health here. For items, D-Blade is going to be the start you take most games. You can also go D-Shield into heavy poke matchups. Triforce for core, and then Divine Syndra in certain matchups. Lucidities work quite nicely on Camille. You can also run Marks or Plated Steel Caps. Ravenous works well as a second item, giving you nice wave clear and Omnivamp. Its damage is also really high. Hullbreaker with its buffs makes it a favourable third item. Shojin is always really good on bruisers like Camille, works quite nicely on Jax and a lot of champions like this. Definitely consider going this option if you want some more damage and you want CDR. It has quite a lot of both. GA works quite nicely for dives and just all-inning. You can pop the GA, come back, you cycle for your combo again. You can also go more into heavy AP comps, Death Stance into heavy AD comps, and Sterex does work if you're stacking a decent amount of health and later on into the game when you have a lot of base AD. Olaf is the next top laner to cover. I feel like I always cover Olaf because this champ is just continuously always strong. So Olaf, D-Blade is the way you want to go on Olaf. For core, Ravenous is always going to be the option you take first. However, Stridebreaker and Triforce are definitely rising up to be viable first options. These also do function quite nicely as second options. Stridebreaker if you really need the chase. Triforce is valuable for split pushing. Lucidities function quite nicely on Olaf. You don't really need the marks because of your ultimate. Steel Caps also work quite nicely on Olaf into heavy poke lanes if you're against something like a Quinn or someone who does a lot of AD damage. Sterex works quite nicely as a third option. You can also opt for more or Death Stance. Both of these work quite nicely into their corresponding damage types. And then Hullbreaker also works quite nicely on Olaf, especially if you're going with Triforce build, as you're opting into split pushing more. For runes, same as always with Olaf. Conqueror, Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand all work really well on him. You can run Biscuits or Boots. Biscuits is something people take a lot of. I would recommend running Boots, but Biscuits aren't bad on Olaf. Approach Velocity works quite nicely on him as well. The Q slowing someone and then being able to just chase them and then pick up the Q and then continue to cycle this. Double Adaptive works quite nicely on Olaf. He has decent AD ratios. You can also run attack speed here. And then Armor, Magic Resist. You don't often want to run health on Olaf as you value the resists more, but you can also opt into health if you are able to just get through laning phase and not really opt into fighting that much, which is what you tend to avoid, which is why you usually value the resists quite highly. You can also run, I imagine you can run Second Wind Revitalize, but that's if you're going with a more tanky build where maybe you're running something like a Spirits and a Gargoyles as well and you could get more value out of that shielding. But for the most part, you want to be going more damage heavy on Olaf. He does do a lot, so yeah. Rengar is also really, really good at the moment. He has benefited a lot from some of the item changes. Things like Prowler's Claw being adjusted to what it is now, where it provides lots of damage on dash champs. Rengar, of course, having the passive dash on his leap makes him really powerful. Yeah, D-Blade start is the way you want to go. You can run Eclipse or Youmuu's. I predict that Youmuu's will get nerfed, but if it doesn't, then it matches Eclipse quite nicely in both power. If you want to get the more, if you want the better chase item, Youmuu's is there for you. If you want more raw, I don't even know if it's more raw damage output. The shield can be valuable and the built-in armor pen can also be quite valuable on Eclipse. So yeah, both these items are very viable. Yeah, Lucidities is the way you want to go on Rengar. Essence Reaver works really well with his Q. You can utilize the Sheen passive and the crit on it. Prowler's works quite nicely as a rush option. You can also run it as a third item option. You definitely do want to get this in your build path somewhere though. Edge of Night, Collector, both these items are really good. Collector recently got buffed, works quite nicely on Rengar. Edge of Night, if you really value the shield. LDR might be something you have to take into comps where they're running a lot of tanks. Guardian Angel, if you are snowballing and you want the survivability. And Bloodthirster is a really strong Rengar item later on into the game where you can get 95 AD from this item, plus this lifesteal is really valuable. For runes, Fleet is going to be the way you want to go. You can run Conqueror, you can also run Lethal, you can run Grasp, you can also run Phase Rush. There are options here on Rengar, but for the most part, I would recommend Fleet. Triumph works quite nicely for him. Alacrity or Bloodline. Last Stand, Second Wind or Bone Plating. Revitalize with his W and Second Wind can work quite nicely. You can run CDR or you can run Adaptive, and then run Adaptive. Health, Armor, Magic Resist always work quite nicely. Rengar does have different variations. You can opt into a tankier Rengar build. Pretty sure Divine Cinder of Rengar still does work. You could probably also go Triforce Rengar if you're going for like a split push heavy build. Something like a Triforce, Hullbreaker, Sterix Rengar build would work quite nicely. But yeah, Flash TP or Flash Ignite. TP seems to outperform Ignite, but if you are going for the kill pressure, then Ignite works here as well. Nasus is going to be the champ, which might surprise you, but Nasus is performing really well with Triforce at the moment. Just most people are going the Divine Sunderer, which I would recommend not to, and don't go Everfrost Nasus, it's not very good. It's actually gaining in play rate at the moment, when it's not a great build. But yeah, Ghost TP or Flash, you want to run TP most of the time on Nasus, but into lanes where you can really greed for both Flash and Ghost, I would recommend going it. D-Shield works well on Nasus. You can also run D-Ring if you're going for an E-Spam build, but that's mainly if you're going the Everfrost variant. Triforce, Lucidities, you're not really going to go any other boots on Lucidities. However, Mercs and Steel Caps to a degree are both viable. Gargles is probably his best second option, but Frozen Heart does come quite close to it. Spirits, Deadman's, Formel all work quite nicely as later options. Hullbreaker is more niche, but you can run it. Sterix also does work, synergizes well with both Gargles and with Spirits. The shield value is quite high then. And then Fawn, even though it's been nerfed, still can function. For runes, yeah, Fleet is going to be the way you want to go. However, I have seen some lethal tempo builds. If you're going Triforce, then it can synergize with the attack speed, in which case you can run Alacrity on Nasus. Presence of Mind is an option, especially if you're going an E-heavy build. Triumph if you're not opting into a particularly mana heavy build. Last Stand works quite nicely on Nasus. When you're in your ult, low on health, you can get a lot more damage out of it. Second Wind, really valuable for Nasus, especially as you're going to be harassed a lot during early laning phase. And then Underflinching, really valuable tenacity and slow resist. CDR, not really going to take anything other than this. And then armor or magic resist into the corresponding lane matchup. You can also run magic resist armor if they do a good split of damage. So these are the 4 champs I'm going to cover at the moment. Tell me if you find anything out which seems to be kind of like under the radar hidden OP. I'm definitely going to be covering more champs though, because there are a lot of really strong champs. There are a couple of top laners who've just been straight up killed by the item changes. But things like Yone and Yasuo have low win rates, but are actually pretty decent at the moment. Just going Gale Force first is the way to go, not Static Shift, which a lot of people are going. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.